All right. Well, welcome to this super exciting and special edition of It's Time with Dr. Jen and me, Lindsley. And I'm so excited to do this. I have been wanting to do this update for a bit, and I don't think we've had a chance to formally talk about this on our podcast, but one of the most exciting, inspiring, and hopeful things to happen in the world of women's health and wellness is Dr. Jen's role at Canyon Ranch, the premier luxury destination for all things good and wellness. And so Jen is taking time today to be a guest so that I can interview and ask all about it and share all this good news with our audience. So welcome, Dr. Jen, to your own
Thanks.
podcast.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here in a different seat, or as we're trying today, on a walk.
Yes. So we're
Excuse
taking our
me.
own advice and we're doing a walk and talk. We are actually in
We
the same
are.
town, but on very different sides of that town today. So we're out enjoying this beautiful fall weather, which here in Park City, we had a big rainstorm and it's already turned into snow. So we're soaking up the outdoors as much as we can.
Yes, yes.
Well,
It was beautiful to walk out to snow-capped mountains this morning. But hence, we're all bundled up. We're a little bundled up today.
yes, in October. In October, I'm wearing my backpack as my rucking sack today while we walk and talk. It's
Nice,
awesome.
nice.
Okay, well, Dr. Jen, could you tell us a little bit about your recent role, not new anymore, but recent role at Canyon Ranch? And we haven't actually had on our podcast a chance to really talk through your journey to how you got there, but touch a little bit on Prosper and life before that as well.
Yeah. Well, it's been a little bit of a crazy ride and fun. But I think, when you are a physician and you're in medicine, your life in medicine is pretty kind of planned out. And that's not a bad thing. It's just the way it is when it takes 10 or 12 years of training to get there. You're kind of excited to stay there, I guess. And so I think, this journey that has ended up at Canyon Ranch really started in 2021 when I left my clinical medicine position and kind of took a deep breath and took a risk, to
Yeah.
be really honest. And so fast forward through a couple companies and establishing some relationships and really learning how to be vulnerable, learning how to ask for some help, and learning to say yes to opportunities that might feel uncomfortable at first was just part of that journey and kind of what got me to where I am today.
Yes. Which is such an exciting space. So give us a little bit about your role at Canyon Ranch, kind of the general role, and then we'll get into some specifics about some of the cool initiatives that are on the horizon.
Yeah. So I became the chief health and performance officer. So for people who aren't familiar with Canyon Ranch, it is a hospitality wellness resort that has been around for about 45 years. And it was kind of the first player in this space to,
Yeah, it's a bucket list item for many of us.
yeah. So it was kind of the OG wellness institute that has survived the trends, the fads, and kind of stuck with what they really believe in and what is at the heart of our values, which is this idea of integrative holistic care. And, when I was in med school in the early 2000s in Arizona, Canyon Ranch had been there for 20 years already. And we were exposed to that with the work of Andy Weil, who started the Integrative Medicine Fellowship at the University of Arizona. And it was so fringy at the time. And I will say what we do at Canyon Ranch seems very mainstream today. I mean, we still are forward thinking and looking at the latest, greatest, but with what's happened in the wellness space, I think we seem very grounded compared to a lot of the noise that's out there right now. But yeah, so it really is a place where for decades they have cared about people as a whole person. So body, mind, spirit is kind of at the forefront of what we do, but it's a beautiful resort or resorts that have a complete medical clinic, performance clinic, mental health services, spiritual wellness services, nutrition services, all in one place.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that before in the way that we can really elevate the experience of a guest. Because
Yeah.
unlike us trying to do this on our own, where we run around town or have 18 Zooms or whatever to establish these care teams, all these people are in one place at one time. And so we have the ability to just really exponentially accelerate how we can take care of people
Yeah.
and the ability to communicate with each other, which I think is fascinating. It's awesome to see one of our physicians walk down the hall with a guest and take them to the spiritual wellness provider to
Yeah.
really complement the care that they're receiving. And that just doesn't happen other places.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you remind us about where all the locations are for Canyon Ranch?
Absolutely. So the longest running one is in Tucson, Arizona. That was the original. We have another property that's been around for over 30 years in Lenox, Massachusetts. Um, Two very different settings, two unbelievably beautiful locations. And then our third property will be opening in September of 2026 in Austin, or outside of
Oh, yeah.
Austin in Spicewood, Texas.
Good for that.
Yes.
One of the things before we dive into the different initiatives that are on the horizon, one of the things that seems so cool about the Canyon Ranch offering, as you talked about it, which is like you can get all your different kind of medical readouts, all the things, the tests we talk about, right? All the, get your biometrics, go get your biomarkers. You could bring in your data and have it augment whatever is at Canyon Ranch. But if you don't have any of that data, you've got the facilities there. So it feels like this great one-stop shop to do a diagnostic baseline and then be able to return and say, okay, what levers am I trying to address what metrics? And is there a game plan from Canyon Ranch that I can then take home and then come back and check in on, which is very cool.
Yes,
And then do you
absolutely.
plug in
Absolutely.
with people's local health partners when you're kind of sending them back home to be able to implement all the ideas that you come up with in that game plan?
100%. So we have the ability to send records, to have conversations with people's private health care, and not just their physicians. I mean, we can talk to their nutritionists. We loop in their acupuncturists if that's what needs to happen, their personal trainers, all
Mm,
of that. So people leave with a plan, with a
yeah.
super personalized plan that they can continue and feel supported in that, in continuing that. We also have different healthcare partners that if something's discovered that needs more specialized care, we can arrange that as well.
Okay. So I just love this analogy of like you guys are the conductor. You understand, all of the instruments in the orchestra, and you help put together this symphony of life, of thrival for your clients, and then can keep checking in quarterly or annually or whatever kind of frequency is possible for your client.
Yep,
So tell us a little bit
absolutely.
about some of the work you're doing, really, I think on the cutting edge forefront of women's wellness and thinking holistically about that.
Absolutely. So, Linz, we have the opportunity to talk about this a lot and, really continuing to redefine what we mean even by women's health. We're, as we've talked about many times, this idea that women's health is so much more than the bikini medicine that has been practiced in the past. And that, and thank goodness that there is awareness about that now that, we have, we can break it down to the physiologic or stay more at 30,000 feet, but that women are more than just ovaries, a uterus, and breasts. We
Right.
have that our physiology impacts every organ system in our bodies. And so when including our minds, our cognition, including our relationships, like all of these things are
Yeah.
should be encompassed in what we are defining as women's health. And so we've had a really great opportunity to take that broader and probably more complete definition and create programming around that to work with leading experts around the world to craft really unique retreats and immersive events that can really target and dive deep into all of those areas in that kind of expanded version of women's health.
Excellent. And so if you were to think about it right now as a midlife woman, which we are, and you come to Canyon Ranch, give us two scenarios. One scenario is you're somebody kind of who's like maybe the two of us are pretty far down the learning curve. Like, would we bring all of our own data? How would we show up at Canyon Ranch?
So I think you can show up any way you want to, which is awesome. So,
Yeah.
I have done both. I have brought my data. I love to go and play patient and guest with my team
Yeah.
because I will tell you, I do think they're like the best in the world. And
Yes.
so I have brought my data to them and we've looked at it. They have supplemented where they think I needed some additional testing, but they've also said, because, there is a cost to everything, they've also said, gosh, this is great. Let's actually action this. And I think that's the key difference is in today's world, you can almost get any diagnostic anywhere at this point in time, right? It's
Right.
like you can go down the street to your strip mall and get a DEXA. You can order your labs online without really any oversight from anyone. But the scary part of that availability of diagnostics is who is interpreting them for you and who is making a really cohesive plan across
Yeah.
disciplines, right? And so
Right.
I think that, and that is probably one of the things that scares me the most is like, oh, you get a lab from company A. Well, company A also makes all of these supplements that they're trying to sell you based on your labs. And then you might
Right.
get the same labs from company B, and they might be trying to sell you a totally different group of supplements or practices. And how do you know what is actually best for you? And so that is, I think, the true magic of Canyon Ranch. Whether we do your assessments on property or you bring your assessments to us, is we're not trying to sell you anything. We're trying
Yeah.
to really take care of you. And so, it really is saying, okay, for you, where you are and what your goals are, what's the best plan forward based on all of
Yeah.
this data?
Okay. Well, that kind of answers my second scenario is if you show up with nothing. So that covers both of them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I think that's the beauty too, is like, again, you don't need to run around town and try to contract out 16 different times. We can do it all there for you as well.
yeah. So if you look kind of on the horizon, what are some of the big initiatives that you're excited about at Canyon Ranch? And how might they impact kind of midlife women?
Absolutely. So I think, with opening a new resort, which is the first time we've done this from the ground up, I think we just have an incredible opportunity to, again, broaden the definition of women's health, broaden the experts that we're able to bring in and the programming that we're able to design and develop. And so that is really exciting. Making it a place where people want to come and gather and work on health and wellness and connection in a beautiful space and this is also super important, where you can go and probably get the best massage you've ever had and a wonderful facial. And so the idea of relaxing and just enjoying where you are is not lost. I don't
Yeah.
want to make it seem overly clinical.
Yeah.
It's really about meeting guests where they are and helping them craft their goals. And for some people, that might be more spa beauty focused. For others, that might be more health and performance focused. Or, where I think the magic is blending the two together, right? Like there's not many
Yeah.
places where you can go do your VO2 max in the morning, then go through our vitality treatments, which is all of our recovery things, and then go to a world-class spa and then eat some good food in between.
Right. Right. That sounds divine. I want to go right now.
I know. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be hard for me to actually work if I worked there. So I commend you for being able to do that. So are there any kind of upcoming programs that we want to make sure we put on people's radars in the world of women's health?
Absolutely. So, right now, speaking from the health and performance side, we run three signature programs, one out of Tucson, two out of Lenox. So, our kind of major female focused program is run out of Lenox. It's our menopause program called Empower. Our next one is going to be amazing. Tamsin's going to be there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we host that 6 to 7 times a year in Lenox.
Yeah.
Really focused on perimenopause and menopause. And again, like the beauty of this and what separates it from other menopause conferences is that we can do everything. So all of the assessments
Yeah.
that we've just been chatting about, like those are all included in that program. So you not only get the educational pieces, but you come and you sit down one-on-one with a physician. We go through labs, we do your DEXA, you meet with our exercise physiologist and create a plan that's personalized to you. And so, yeah, you cold plunge as a group, you ruck as a group. You get to do a lot of really cool things instead of just kind of learning about them in a more conference room style setting.
Yeah. And how long is that one?
It's 4 nights,
4 nights. Okay.
four
I just
day,
got it
four
in.
days, 3 nights, 4 days. Yeah,
4 days, 3 nights. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And then are there any things kind of, as you think about all of those different points of wellness, whether it's health and beauty or the recovery or movement, which we love, are there anything on the horizon that Canyon Ranch is really helping bring focus on that might be new news for women in the whole midlife cohort?
so absolutely. I think that we kind of get lost in our bubble, right? That we're so intertwined in this world that sometimes we forget to pick our heads up and just realize that a lot of women don't even know everything that you and I have just talked about, or
Yeah.
haven't had access to really get that information. So I don't want to move so fast that we leave anyone behind either, because I think so many women have struggled to just feel heard in this space, even by super excellent healthcare providers that just never had the opportunity to have this type of training or have this type of education. And so, our whole physician team is menopause trained. We have brought curriculums in from experts like Stacey Sims and trained a lot of our practitioners across disciplines. So they really uniquely understand the needs of women in a way that is not classically taught in our certification programs, et cetera. So I think that's been a huge push for us since I've been there. And the way our teams are responding to that is incredible. And so already in it, just a very kind of natural, organic way, we're having even more elevated conversations with guests. And it's not just our female guests, right? In our
Yeah.
longevity 8 program, we are talking more and more about kind of sex-based differences as we age, and where women might need to be, and I know I'm using the word women and female interchangeably, and that's not always the case, but
Right.
I think, we are seeing and starting to explain this. If you are in this phase of life and you have female physiology, this is really what you need to be focused on. Versus similarly, if have male physiology in that phase of life, maybe your focus needs to be a little bit different. And it's been really interesting to see how partners are reacting to that and really developing a deeper understanding of
Yeah.
each person's needs. And so I think that, why we are talking about women and are doing great things for women, we're also just bringing a lot of global awareness that
Yeah.
we do need to focus on different things depending on our physiology at times. So that's been really cool. I think, up and coming, the connection piece cannot be lost. And I think that women are still looking for that place. I was just having a conversation with a friend yesterday about that. They're like, men still do deals on the golf course, right? We still have
Yeah.
these kind of gendered stereotype places where networking happens and deals happen. And so part of this, and especially with our new resort in Austin coming on board, is like, we really want this to be the place where women come and gather to have those conversations
Yeah.
and do that networking, and yet can still access these whole array of services to make it really fun and it's such an
Yeah.
enjoyable place as well.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of, as always, steps in front of me because my next question was going to be, are there like couples programs? Because, we do hear more and more from our partners, hey, all this stuff you're doing for midlife women is great, but I have midlife issues too. What should I do?
Right.
Is there like a 3-day couples retreat where it's kind of integrating the two?
So our longevity retreat, which actually just is kicking off today, one of them is just kicking off today in Tucson. So we often have couples that come through that together. So that's kind of our most intensive 4-night, 5-day retreat that we host and it's always out of Tucson. And we have a lot of couples come through that together. And that's where, when I first came on, I was like, I'm not sure we're addressing the needs of all as well as we could be. And so we've refined some of those curriculums over the last few months. And really, I have to say, I'm so proud of my team when I get to sit and listen in and be part of those retreat experiences, because they really are addressing everything you just talked about. They're addressing the needs of men through midlife, of women through midlife, and of couples, and like how you navigate changing relationships, whether that's becoming an empty nester or what. And we call it
Yeah.
our longevity program, but we have people in their 40s that come that are preparing for transition and curious, and we have people in their 70s that come that are like, I have 30, 40 more years and I want to be active and healthy and be able to do what I want to do and independent. So it's been really cool to see, but addressing all of that. And sleep becomes a big deal with a bed partner,
Yes.
and how do you navigate that? And how does that dynamic change your relationship? So absolutely. And then, the great thing is we can also curate to anybody's needs. So if, a group of girlfriends are coming, we can design a program for them that meets their needs. If a husband and wife are coming or partners are coming and they have specific things they want to work on, we can absolutely help them plan their stay to make sure they get everything they need.
Yeah. Well, what about if you're not on property? Are there content channels to plug into the Canyon Ranch expertise and brand when you can't be on property? Is there something going on there?
So we've just started a newsletter. And that has been a big hit. And so that is available. And then, you can follow our social channels where we're starting to push out more and more content. Our providers are starting to show up on more podcasts, as the word is slowly but steadily getting out there about the magic that can happen on property. We're trying to bring more people into that ecosphere and let them just know about the things we do. I will still say I get a question every day. Why, as a doctor, do you work at a hotel? So I think it's still kind of a hidden gem, and so
Yeah,
we're definitely expanding in those areas. But and then anyone that has been on property, they have access to have telehealth appointments with our providers and stay involved that way as well. If they've met with our exercise physiologist team, they leave with an app and programming that it gets updated throughout the year, et cetera.
that's awesome. Okay, so if we think about people who want to learn more about Canyon Ranch and people who want to hear more from you, where's the best place for them to go and find?
So definitely just, I would say go to the website and follow us on socials, and you can follow Canyon Ranch in general. You can follow each of our locations. So I think that's the best place to go find out. And all of my information's on there as well. And then for more about me, I think I spend more time talking with you than any place else. So just tune into our podcast here where I think we're constantly updating and always kind of bringing to light what's going on in both of our worlds. And so I'll be happy and make sure I share our Canyon Ranch updates every week on its
Yes.
time too. If there's something new and cool that we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to know about, to share it here as well.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time with us. I know, we're doing this one on a Sunday fall afternoon, which we both know is big family time, but this is just exciting that you're in this role and that the Canyon Ranch brand, which I'm a huge fan of, had the foresight to bring you in. And I can't wait to see
You're
how
so
more of
sweet.
it unfolds.
Well, thank you for taking the time to ask me about it. It's been a super fun journey, one that you've been pivotal in helping to craft as well. And so just excited to see where we can take this and how we can continue to really, optimize the health span for everyone and really do some special programming for women who we know are still kind of behind the eight ball in this area. And so it's a really cool and special opportunity. So thanks for letting
Yes.
me talk about it.
Well, I love talking to you all the time. Cheers, and thank you all for joining us on It's Time. And now, reach out and find Jen and Canyon Ranch as well as It's Time.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us here today. If you liked what you heard and you got some tips on how to live better right now and for the long haul, please help us reach more midlife women. Please share and rate and like this show. And we can't wait to continue the dialogue with you on our next episode. Until then, thank you. It's time.